My name is Jacob Hayes. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to listen to my thoughts on the sporting events of the past week, as well as anticipation for the ones to come. This is your first time tuning in? Thanks for taking a listen. If you want to know more about the podcast, please check out the introduction episode that discusses the layout and expectations for the porch. And if you want further information, the porch has some social media outlets that you can check out. It has an Instagram page, a Twitter page, and a Facebook page, as well as a YouTube channel. For today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at 3 different topics. The first has to do with Tom Brady and his free agency decision. There's a lot of hype surrounding what team Tom Brady is interested in going to, as well as the different suitors who are interested in pursuing Tom Brady. We're going to look at those teams and the best options for where Tom Brady can go, as well as my personal pick for where I think Tom Brady is going to go, and it ends up being the same of where I want Tom Brady to go. Second, we're looking at Chris Paul. He had an interview a few weeks ago with Bleacher Report where he discussed the attributes that make an ideal point guard. And he pulls from different players around the league and there are different characteristics and attributes to create the perfect point guard. We're going to look at his choices and why they're bad. And I'm going to create my own personal best point guard that I think would beat Chris Paul's point guard every day of the week and twice on Sundays. The last thing we're going to talk about is the college basketball AP poll top 10 for this week. We're going to look at my picks from Tuesday, where I was right, where I was wrong. Look at my picks for Saturday and Sunday, along with throwing in a few other ones that I forgot to mention, as well as some analysis for teams to look out for the March Madness tournament. But first, let's talk Tom Brady and all the hype that's surrounding his free agency decision. It could be that finally, after 20 years of being the quarterback for the New England Patriots, he decides to move along and play for a new team, or he could be coming back. There's a lot to it. It's exciting. I am very much so looking forward to figuring out which team Tom Brady is going to play for. But to get a better understanding of the possibilities that Tom Brady is playing with, let's take a look at the history of his contracts to get an idea of what Tom Brady is looking for. Starting in 2013, at this point, Tom Brady signs a 3-year extension. It's guaranteeing him $27 million. This is a huge undervalue for the worth that Tom Brady has. He definitely deserves more. This is a very team-friendly deal. It allows a team to go after free agents and give a supporting cast to Tom Brady. This was definitely talked about on the negotiation side. It's known that Tom Brady took less money so that he can get the pieces that he needed. Again, very team-friendly. It is funny, however, though, on a different note. So 2013, he signs the extension. In 2014, the Patriots draft a quarterback. That quarterback would happen to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Definitely interesting. Kind of seems a bit suspicious. Tom, of course, beats him out for the starting job. And then they win a Super Bowl. They beat the Seahawks. You know, there's the crazy goal line interception. And Tom Brady wants an extension. He's like, you know what? I want you to pay me. And I want you to pay me until I'm 43. I want you to give me that extension. I want that security. Patriots like, I don't think so. Got this guy, you know, Jimmy Garoppolo. We kind of like him. We're not going to pay you for all those years. So we'll give you a 2-year extension to 2016. Another, again, very team-friendly deal. Gives the Patriots extra money to work with, getting a supporting cast. And it also gives them a little extra money just in case Jimmy Garoppolo becomes a starting quarterback to make sure that he's paid. Very fascinating. So after this happens, though, Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded. He gets traded to the San Francisco 49ers. And the Patriots offer Tom Brady another extension. It's a 1-year extension. And really, it isn't an extension at all. What it allows the Patriots to do is to reconfigure the contract so that the signing bonus that Tom Brady was guaranteed is just split over into this 2020 season. And so he was like guaranteed money this season. And it gets a little bit more on top. It's kind of really shady. I was kind of looking into it. And it's no wonder it feels like Tom Brady has been disrespected by the Patriots franchise. So, what has been the best QB, right? Tom Brady's been the best QB over the last decade and arguably the best QB of all time. He has never been paid like he should be, the elite player that he is. And so that's what he's looking for. He's looking for the pay that he deserves for the security of his family. And whether that means multiple years of guaranteed money or not, Tom Brady's looking to get money. That's what I think. And ultimately, that comes with the respect factor. If someone is willing to give him the money and time that he thinks he deserves, that means that that team is respecting Tom Brady's abilities. So I think that's important. The money aspect is tied to the respect factor. So we can look at the first team on the list, and that would be the New England Patriots. What's fascinating about the Patriots, and this is what comes with all free agents, is no other team can talk to Tom Brady right now about the free agency period except for the New England Patriots. This is a great way for the Patriots to try to work out a deal with him now before they even let him be a free agent. Turns out Tom Brady was like, nah, not really feeling that. I want to be a free agent. I'm not going to work out a deal with you right now. And I'm going to test the waters to see what other people are willing to pay me and for how much time. So, Patriots are like, that's fine. Do your thing. And it doesn't mean that the Patriots are just going to let him go. Of course, they want to retain him, but Tom Brady's not willing to listen to any deals until the free agency period begins. That would be on March 15th is when the discussions and meetings can begin. That's when he can start receiving some offers from other teams. Should be important, some positives about New England. Tom Brady's been there for 20 years, and he's been at the helm of Bill Belichick's offensive system. It's definitely the system that Tom Brady's most confident in, and it's the one he's most comfortable in. And I think that can't be understated. If Tom Brady were to go to another team, he's going to have to either learn a new offensive system from a different set of coaches, or he's going to have to try to teach what he learned to those players. That all takes time and energy and effort, and it could really be a headache, especially if players aren't catching on and the coaches are really against that. You can find yourself butting heads. That'll be something to note. Another important thing is the owner, Robert Kraft, loves Tom Brady, and he wants Tom Brady back. The issue comes with the future of the franchise. Do the Patriots want to sacrifice a little bit of future stability to make sure they can have Tom Brady for 2 or 3 more years and give him the money that maybe he wants? Another issue is, this is what ultimately became the issue for Tom Brady in the playoffs, and it really showed up, is the Patriots don't have any offensive weapons. And the money that the Patriots would be putting towards Tom Brady could easily be put towards some wide receivers, better offensive line, the weapons that Tom Brady would need to succeed. You only have so much money to be putting around due to the cap space, and it would make it hard to maneuver with Tom Brady's new contract and getting the weapons that Tom Brady wants. So definitely some positives and negatives to New England. It's already known that Bill Belichick has been in conversation with Tom Brady, and those conversations have not gone very well. Tom has definitely expressed his agitation and displeasure for how he has been treated with contracts, and that's where the respect part comes in. He wants to see a contract that shows him the respect he deserves. So that's enough with New England. Let's move on to the next team, the first true free agent team. And that's the Tennessee Titans. First thing to note about Tennessee, head coach Mike Vrabel comes from the Bill Belichick coaching tree, and he worked with Tom Brady while he was one of the coaches for the Patriots. Of course, he took the head job for the Tennessee Titans. Tom Brady and Mike Vrabel are really good friends. They definitely go back a ways. So you already have a connection there where Tom Brady could begin to implement his system because he already is with a coach that has a feel for that system. That's a plus. The Titans are also ready to win a championship, or at least ready to try to compete for one. Now, would you argue, are they just a quarterback away? You could argue that. Ryan Tannehill did go in to Foxborough and beat Tom Brady to knock him out of the playoffs. They, of course, ended up losing at the hands of Kansas City Chiefs. So is Tom Brady that one piece that the Titans need to get over the top? Maybe, maybe not. But again, they come with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's an incredible running back. He proved that in the playoffs. The offensive line for the Titans is strong, definitely solid. Same with the weapons on the outside. Tom Brady would have people to throw to. I think that puts him in a system that can win now. I think that's important with Tom Brady nearing the end of his career. The issue with that, though, is with the QB that the Titans used for that playoff run, Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill right now is also in the same boat, the free agency boat. What the Titans can do, though, is they can franchise tag him. Now, they can't. It should be noted the Patriots cannot franchise tag Tom Brady, but the Titans can franchise tag Ryan Tannehill. It's important to note this date, March 12th, which happens before the meetings can occur March 15th. So an organization has to franchise tag whoever they want to franchise tag by March 12th, which means the Titans have to make a decision before that date. Are we going to franchise tag Ryan Tannehill to make sure he's our quarterback for the future? Or are we going to let him walk to free agency with Tom Brady try to go after Tom Brady. If the Titans flop on Tom Brady and you've let Ryan Tannehill walk, well, now you might be without a QB. If Ryan Tannehill walks, he has no obligation to re-sign with the Titans. He can sign with whoever he wants to. Now, he might want to play with the Titans for the rest of his career. So be it. And it might work out well for the Titans. But it is a risk the Titans are going to have to balance with. It would be the conservative play for the Titans just to say, I'm not going to worry about Tom Brady. I just want to re-sign Ryan Tannehill. And the last team that I think has the best chance to go for Tom Brady is the San Francisco 49ers, which just sounds strange to me. Being a fan of the team and watching them on their Super Bowl run, it seems unusual that they would go after a QB, especially after Jimmy Garoppolo played well for the entire season. But there is legitimate reason to believe that these reports are true. First and foremost is from the Patriots insider Tom Curran. He thinks that the 49ers are Brady's number one choice. So out of all the teams, not even the Patriots, he thinks that the 49ers are Brady's number one choice. Second thing to note, Tom Brady, Bay Area native. He grew up watching Joe Montana and San Francisco 49ers. Wouldn't it be awesome for him to come back to his team that he rooted for when he was a child to finish off his career? Also, on the Rich Eisen show, General Manager John Lynch was talking about all the different issues with the 49ers and how he's making the team better. Throughout that conversation, it was brought up the details about the trade that went down between the Niners and the Patriots to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo. In that conversation, John Lynch mentioned that while, of course, he was trying to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo, he inquired about Tom Brady and the willingness for the Patriots to move Tom Brady to the 49ers. And, of course, the Patriots said, no, Tom Brady's untouchable. But it should be noted that John Lynch did inquire about that. And, it could have been maybe in a joke manner, like, oh, it was Tom Brady. I mean, he could have assumed that Tom Brady was untouchable, but he did reach out anyways. And the last thing, and I think this is the real catcher, is that Coach Kyle Shanahan has shown possible reservation towards their current quarterback. This could be seen in the divisional rounds, moving up, how many times they ran the ball. They got the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. It kind of showed in some of their play calling. It showed down the stretch in the last quarter. Jimmy Garoppolo unable to complete passes, see open receivers in the field. George Kittle was open multiple times, and the ball just didn't get to him. It was thrown to other players. So I could see why Kyle Shanahan would have reservations. And if you put Tom Brady in that same spot, you have to assume that Tom Brady would, with the lead, win that Super Bowl. So I think those are all very fair things. The issue is that, well, the Niners would have to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo, who's under contract for the next 3 years. How would that work? I mean, you could do a trade, try to acquire some assets. It was even brought up that you could do a sign-in trade like they do in the NBA, where the Patriots would sign Tom Brady and then trade him to the 49ers for Jimmy Garoppolo and maybe some other pieces along with that. Nonetheless, the Niners would have to move away from Jimmy Garoppolo in order to sign Tom Brady just to do with cap space. And I just don't see him doing it. Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback for the future for the 49ers. And I have faith in him. I do. I mean, I saw him in the Super Bowl. He played well for 3 quarters and like 5 minutes. And then just in those last 7 minutes, he just fell apart. And I think that's a learning experience for them and for the entire team. I don't think it all should fall on Jimmy Garoppolo for their inability to win that Super Bowl. I think he's going to come back stronger. The team is looking great. They've already re-signed multiple pieces from that season. And I see no legitimate reason to move away from a quarterback that you're not paying top dollar for, that has proven he can be successful. I mean, he took the team to the Super Bowl on his very first full season in the NFL. And I just don't see the 49ers jumping out to sign Tom Brady. And if you have any other thoughts, like, okay, well, you mentioned those 3 teams. So what about the San Diego Chargers? The Los Angeles Chargers. What about the Las Vegas Raiders? What about the Miami Dolphins? There are other teams that have been in the mix for this. If you think that it's one of those teams that Tom Brady's going to sign with, please let me know. Give your reasons why. I just don't see the plausibility of any of those teams signing him. It just doesn't seem like the right fit for what Tom Brady would want. But if you disagree, let me know in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts on that. And what will probably end up happening, just as it is usually when people are trying to pick free agent destinations, Tom Brady is going to end up signing with like the Chicago Bears or something crazy like that. But that's enough Tom Brady. Let's move on to Chris Paul and the interview that he was with Bleacher Report on. Very fascinating, talking about what makes an ideal point guard and going through all the different players in the league and previously in the league, talking about their attributes, their characteristics, and combining those all together to make the ultimate point guard. So I'm going to run through what Chris Paul decided was important for a point guard, and why he's wrong. And just to let you know now why he did not make the best point guard. I'm going to talk about why. So the first thing he mentioned was the explosiveness of Derrick Rose. I think that's very fair. Derrick Rose, without all the injuries, he's been through a ton of injuries, was incredibly explosive off the bounce, off the dribble. Really a fantastic player, and I think would have developed into a perennial all-star. Unfortunately, he dealt with multiple injuries, including an ACL tear. Really unfortunate for Derrick Rose's career. Nonetheless, he's still a great player, playing for the Pistons now, although he is injured right now, I believe. So, best of luck for Derrick Rose. But I do think that his explosiveness is warranted. I think that's a good call. Second is Kyrie Irving's finishes. Now, he actually picks two players here for finishing. One was a right hand, one was a left hand. He picked Kyrie Irving for the right and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the left. If you don't know who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, that's totally fair, because no one really should know who he is unless you're following the NBA or you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is actually a teammate of Chris Paul. Kyrie Irving plays for the Nets now. He has incredible finishing. I think that's a fair pick. He chooses Steve Nash's shooting. He also mentioned Gilbert Arenas later on in the podcast or in his interview for shooting. He mentioned Russell Westbrook and his rebounding ability. He chose LeBron as his passer, which you could argue now LeBron's playing the point guard for the Lakers, but he really hasn't played the point guard for his entire career. So that's interesting. He actually calls on his own basketball IQ as part of something he would want for the ultimate point guard. And he chooses the body build of either Baron Davis or Darren Williams. So some interesting points you might agree with, like, oh yeah, I agree with that. Other things you might be like, I don't know about that. And really there's, if you haven't caught on by now, there are some huge names missing from this list. And it's really, I think, just disrespectful. And I'm going to go about why it's disrespectful. The first name, you guys maybe all would already know this already. He's missing Stephen Curry. Why is Stephen Curry not on this list, particularly in shooting? He chooses Steve Nash. Steve Nash was a good shooter. I'll give you that. Great from the free throw line, had decent three-point shooting. I think people really know Steve Nash more for his passing, but, okay, shooting. We'll give you that. Stephen Curry's the best shooter the NBA has ever seen. Okay, so something has to be wrong. Why didn't Chris Paul choose Stephen Curry to be the shooting aspect of the point guard? And I think it's because there's some low-key beef, and there's definitely a reason for it. Think about Chris Paul earlier in his career. After coming from the Hornets, he gets traded to the Clippers, right? The big three with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Ready to go out and win a championship. Who comes along and ruins that? Oh, that's right, Stephen Curry, who gets 2 MVPs, including a unanimous one, and ruins Chris Paul's chances of winning with the Clippers. So what happens? Chris Paul gets traded to the Rockets. Still in the Western Conference. Guess what happens there? That's right. The Rockets lose both times in the playoffs to none other than Stephen Curry's Golden State Warriors, let alone the nastiest ankle breaker in possibly the history of the NBA. And I posted on my Twitter account where Curry goes behind the back twice in the same dribble and he just cripples Chris Paul. It is so cold. I think, and because of that, I think there's legitimate reason to believe that Chris Paul has petty beef against Stephen Curry, which is why I didn't select him for this list. But I think something to note about this is I think it's hard for players to recognize the greatness of their rivals, especially when it comes to this, perfect scenario of creating a perfect player. If Chris Paul were to say, yeah, I want Stephen Curry's shooting ability, he would be in a sense submitting to like Curry's greatness when he really, as a competitor, wants to beat Stephen Curry. So I think there's some reasonability. Like, okay, I'll maybe give you a check on that, Chris Paul. But otherwise, he's just wrong. You have to have Stephen Curry in that shooting spot. So with that being said, and I'm actually at a few other attributes that I thought that he just missed that I think are really important for a point guard. I'm going to go through mine and why my point guard would crush Chris Paul's point guard every day of the week, twice on Sundays. So first and foremost, explosiveness. I'm going to agree with him. I think Derrick Rose is as explosive as it gets. You could put Russell Westbrook in here. I actually also agreed with Chris Paul that Westbrook's got to be one of the best rebounders of all time. And he just gets in there in the paint. He's not afraid to fight against the biggest men in the league. So I do agree with him on those two. For finishers, I think you definitely had to put Kyrie Irving in there. I have no clue why you would put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just Kyrie. Kyrie's good with the right and the left hand. He can get around big men, the long outstretching arms. He is really good at taking contact. He can get to the free throw line. He is by far one of the best finishers the NBA has ever seen. Shooting, Stephen Curry. There's no other answer. Stephen Curry. Something he didn't mention that is like the job of a point guard is, he did mention this with LeBron James as a passer. LeBron's like, he's a point guard this year. You got to choose like a true point guard. I think that was a poor choice on his. If you're going to choose passing, you got to choose the best point guard passer of all time, Magic Johnson. You go back with the Lakers. I mean, his style and skill with passing the ball was unmatched. The no-look passes to the corner, his ability to juke out defenders, Magic was the best. I think as a second, because I want to shout him out, he's one of my favorite players, Jason Williams, White Chocolate. Also great passing, again, with the no-look, averting defenders with his eyes. Both are fantastic. I think both are better than LeBron. I mean, you can't put LeBron against Magic Johnson and say LeBron's a better passer. Magic was by far a better passer. For basketball IQ, you could give it to Chris Paul. I'm not going to say he's a bad basketball player because he's fantastic. Chris Paul's a great point guard. But I'm going to extend IQ to a little bit more of like the heart and intensity and like the love of playing the game. I'm going to give that to Isaiah Thomas, one of the greatest point guards of all time. And you could say one of the best small players in the NBA has ever seen. Something to note, if you didn't know this about Isaiah Thomas, I think this is just fantastic. When he was with the Pistons, he beat Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan in their respective primes, while each of those other teams had top 50 players alongside of Magic, Bird, and Jordan. Isaiah Thomas didn't have any, and he beat them all in their primes. Completely underrated, often forgotten, but he deserves respect. So I'm going to extend. And also he had fantastic basketball IQ, not to denote that, but he had the heart, desire, intensity. I mean, just a fantastic player. Size. So he mentions like body type, and he chooses like Baron Davis or Darren Williams. And you got to choose Magic Johnson. I mean, Magic Johnson was 6'9", right? Like, you choose Magic Johnson. I don't know what he was thinking with Baron Davis. Another thing he didn't mention was handles, ball handling. And then you give this to either Stephen Curry or Kyrie Irving. I'm going to choose Stephen Curry because he's my man. But if you choose Kyrie Irving, you could argue that he's actually the best in the NBA. And I'll give you that. And then the last thing he didn't mention was defense, like on-ball defense. And I'm going to give this to John Stockton. He leads the NBA in steals. When he was around, he was kind of remembered as like a dirty player, really aggressive, ticky-tack fouls that weren't always called, but he would get away with from the Utah Jazz. Really a fantastic player, forgotten about. And you could put him there with passing too. He is, in fact, the all-time NBA leader in assists. So that is my list. We're going to go through it really quick. Explosiveness of Derrick Rose, finishing ability of Kyrie Irving, shooting ability of Stephen Curry, rebounding ability of Russell Westbrook, passing ability of Magic Johnson, basketball IQ of Isaiah Thomas, size and body type of Magic Johnson, the handles of Stephen Curry, and the defense of John Stockton. Moving on from Chris Paul, though, and looking into some other basketball, let's look at some college basketball. The top 10 from this week, plus my picks. So, first of all, going to the top 10, I mentioned that I thought there would be two teams moving out of the top 10. That was Creighton and Duke. And it turned out that I nailed that pretty good. So, right now, the top 10 teams, we're just going to go through them real quickly. First is Kansas. 2 is Gonzaga. Gonzaga bumped up, as well as Dayton at 3. Baylor dropped down 2 spots after losing to TCU. And you have San Diego State at 5. Kentucky at 6. They bumped up 2 spots. Florida State down 1 at 7. Seton Hall, they bumped up 5 spots. They're in the 8th spot. Maryland stayed still at 9. And Louisville bumped up 1 to get to 10. So, yeah, some fantastic teams are in the top 10. Let's look at that Seton Hall Villanova game that I picked on Tuesday. Of course, Seton Hall made it into the top 10, but I picked them and they lost. It was their senior night, and Villanova came in and beat them by 3. Fantastic. Well done for Villanova winning on the road in the Big East. I mean, you could credit to it being an emotional night for the seniors at Seton Hall and kind of maybe got the best of them, or you can give credit to Villanova, which I think is where it rightfully should belong. They played a fantastic game. They shot well, and they defended well. They deserve the win, and that has some huge implications for how the Big East Conference tournament's going to line up. Seton Hall had the chance to clinch, and now they're going to go on the road to face Creighton. That's actually a game that I picked for Saturday. We'll see how that goes. If they lose that game too, they're going to definitely bump out of the top 10, and now you're looking at some ties for the regular season conference champion, and that's going to have a huge influence on how their conference tournament's going to go. So I missed on that one. I did get the Dayton, Rhode Island game right. Dayton, I mean, they thoroughly crushed Rhode Island. It never felt close. I mentioned in my last episode, Luka Garza from Iowa as a player of the year. Another one that you can throw into that mix, Obi Toppin out of Dayton. He is incredible. It just his ability to finish at the rim, receive passes. He defends well. He knows how to get around defenders. Really good post moves. Works well in the key. I've been very impressed with him. And he has basically taken Dayton out of the Atlantic 10 and turned them into an absolute powerhouse. There are no really other good teams, we'll say, especially with how they just humiliated Rhode Island. The only chance for there to be another bid is if Dayton got upset in their tournament, but I just don't think they will. They look fantastic. So right now I'm 1-1 with my picks, which I'll take 500. If I was batting 500, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. After the games over the weekend, when I upload my next episode on Monday, I'll discuss all those picks that I had, where I was right, where I was wrong. And at that point, you're looking into conference tournament play. That's when all the conferences finish up, is Sunday. And the excitement that brings, we will definitely dive into that on Monday. Also with that, some really exciting March Madness news that I have. My plan is for Selection Sunday. That would be Sunday, March 15th. I'm going to be hosting my first live stream. I'm very excited for this. It's going to be on YouTube, on the Porch YouTube channel. And it's basically what we're going to do is they're going to, of course, have the selection committee go through all the different picks that they have and then make a show out of it. It's fun. I love watching it. And then you get the excitement. Like, oh, man, what at-large teams are going to make it into the tournament? And we'll talk about that on Monday. We're really going to go through an in-depth looking at, especially the at-large bids, what teams are looking to make it in if they don't win their conference tournament. With that, though, is afterwards, I'm going to pull up the live stream on YouTube, and I'm going to just have a bracket there that probably be on ESPN, on the one that they pull out. And I would love for you to join in and work through a bracket with me. And we'll make it the Porch Podcast bracket with all of your guys' influence. We'll do some voting, some discussion on it. I really want to hear your comments about the college basketball teams. If you don't know anything about college basketball, just come and stop by, say hi, vote for a team based on their mascot. I don't know. Just have some fun with it. I think it's going to be a really great time. I'm really looking forward to connecting with all of you. And hearing your opinions and thoughts. If you think that my picks are horrible, I want to hear that. And I want to know your reasons why. So thanks again for listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to tune in that Sunday. I'll make sure to do some social media posts about that so you know what time that's going to be, just as a reminder for you. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But thanks again for tuning into The Porch. I hope you enjoyed the conversations. If you have any questions or any comments, if you think I was wrong about anything that we talked about in today's show, please let me know. Send me a direct message. Whatever it is, I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to make my show better. So thanks again for listening. Keep making it happen.